Chapter 13 Benazir Bhutto. Page number 96. Whatever the first couple's involvement in this murder might have been, Murtaza's death served as a convenient excuse to get rid of them. In November 1996, President Farouk Reghari, so long a complacent servant of the Bhutto regime, dismissed the Prime Minister on charge of corruption and suspicion of involvement in her brother's death. Again citing the Eighth Amendment, Bhutto immediately challenged the constitutionality of the decision, but the Supreme Court upheld Reghari, who took the opportunity of moment to also dismiss all pro-Bhutto elements in the military leadership. Zardari was in even hotter water than his wife, for his involvement in Murtaza's death seemed very probable. He decided to make his way to safety in Dubai, but he was arrested in Lahore while on his way out of the country and taken to jail on charges of money laundering and murder. He would remain in prison until late in 2004. A woman of lesser mettle than Bhutto might now have retreated to safety and peace in Dubai or London, but she stayed on and contested the general election later that year. Predictably, the PPP was defeated and Nawaz Sharif was Prime Minister once again, as tireless leader of the opposition. Bhutto functioned as his chief gadfly during his time in office. Sharif's new term was to be no easier than Bhutto's had been. In September 1996, the Taliban finally took power in Afghanistan. Years of fighting had left the country devastated and its capital Kabul a pile of rubble. Pakistan recognized the Taliban as Afghanistan's legitimate government, one of only 3 countries in the world to do so, in a move that further isolated the country from its allies and supporters in the West. It would not be until 2001 and the war on terror that Pakistan would once more find a genuinely enthusiastic sponsor in the United States. And then even then, India detonated a nuclear bomb in 1998, causing a nasty shock in Islamabad. Bhutto's reaction was astonishing, considering her carefully groomed image as a level-headed leader who favored diplomacy over civil battery, and her previous assurance to her American military responses that her government was not developing a bomb. She now tried desperately to drum up rage against India from the international community. An incendiary editorial she wrote for the Los Angeles Times shockingly called for a preemptive strike. While the word slept, she began the piece in high Churchillian manner. India detonated a series of nuclear tests, signaling its determination to threaten the entire non-proliferation regime in the region. I am not a military expert, but I believe that sanctions simply are not enough. Rogue nations that try to defy world opinion ought to be taught a lesson. If a preemptive military strike is possible to neutralize India's nuclear capability, that is the response that is necessary. He also challenged the Sharif administration to retaliate aggressively with nuclear tests of its own. Emily McFarquhar, a journalist investigating Bhutto at this time, described the scene, theatrically tossing glass bangers on the ground. She taunted Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif as a womanly wimp for not rushing to test. Sharif did indeed detonate a Pakistani bomb, and with her country's face now saved, Bhutto returned to a stance of statesmanlike dignity and called for Pakistan to sign the comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty and come to a bilateral agreement with India as well. A month later, four Pakistani nuclear scientists fled the country, claiming that they had been given orders to provide data for possible nuclear strikes against India. Bhutto now reverted to silence on the subject. The career of rising military officer Pervez Musharraf had flourished under both Bhutto and Sharif. He had been a key member of Bhutto's staff, particularly in her second administration, and with her blessing had assisted the ISI in supporting the rise of Taliban. Now Sharif appointed him chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a choice that would prove nearly as disastrous as Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's selection of Jia. It was probably under Musharraf's direction that Pakistan unwisely involved itself in the Kargil War of 1999. Yet another conflagration along the Pakistani Kashmir line of control. In April, Kashmiri guerrillas captured posts along the line and launched an artillery attack on the highway running north from Srinagar. Pakistan claimed to have had nothing to do with the guerrillas' action, but India determined correctly, as it turned out that the guerrillas were really members of Pakistan's Northern Light Infantry. As the two sides continued fighting, escalations into nuclear wars seemed very possible. Owing to pressure from American President Bill Clinton, Pakistan ceased hostilities and used its influence to have the guerrillas refrain from further aggression. By the end of the war, as many as 4,000 people were dead. Bhutto pressed for an investigation into the events leading to the Kargil disaster, claiming that during her second term, Musharraf had presented her with a war games scenario that was exactly that of the Kargil offensive. She had told him in no uncertain terms. She said that the plan was not only morally wrong but unworkable. She also used the opportunity to rail against the generals once more, accusing them of financial corruption as well as despotism. The generals, she cried, felt no compunction in investigating politicians, but no one had the authority to investigate them for